Hey, what's up, y'all? It's Chris. And I said I was going to get onto this series, and I'm on the series, and I just want to make sure you know what I'm talking about. If you didn't see the introduction, I am getting into a discussion built around StockX's recent, let's go down here, State of Resale Report 2024. And in the State of Resale Report, StockX made a lot of statements, not just in this one kind of shareable right here. They made statements about the fact that um, resale isn't dead. It's just changed. Now, in order to really get to the heart of it and talk about it, there's a lot that we have to get into. But one of the biggest, or actually the quickest thing to look at, right, is something that you can see with StockX that you can't see with other third-party resale platforms. So when I say third-party resale platforms, I'm talking Amazon, eBay, Grailed, Goat, StockX, Kixify, which isn't as big as it used to be. But this is the thing. StockX, you can see all of the changes that they're making in real time to offset the fact that sales are cooling. So when you look over here to the side and you see how does StockX adjust to the cooling resale market, this is important stuff because you get to see how a business that is built around third party people bringing product to it, and they're basically functioning as the middleman to ensure that the authenticity is there. How are they changing? And I think a lot of the times people aren't paying attention to those things. And more than likely, if, as a matter of fact, if you're watching this, I'm going to do each one of these changes. I think I'm going to see how many I can get done quickly in this video, but you can go and click on the link that's in the description. Of course, I appreciate you if you're watching this and you're subscribed. If you're not subscribed, definitely subscribe, because I think it's really good information for us to kind of discuss, or for you to have in your pocket when you're talking with other people about StockX versus Amazon and all of these different things. Or if you're thinking about starting a business and you're figuring out how to put in safeguards to prevent your business from kind of collapsing when things go cold. Now, whether the sneaker industry will admit it and whether sneaker culture likes it, StockX, as we know, is the measuring stick for the business of kicks. The site provides a bevy of data on trends, and is capable of supplying real-time indicators of brand heat. Now, why do I say brand heat? It's because when I look at brands, I look at the resale value of a particular brand to see if that company is moving up and down. And you can actually see it in real time through resale. Even when the market is cooling, you can still see which brand is performing okay. You can see which ones have fallen off. It's a very good tool. Now, for some like brands, like I did an article on Allbirds today, Allbirds doesn't resell, so you can't really use that as a gauge. However, you can go to eBay, go into Terapeak, and pull information on a brand like Allbirds and see who's using arbitrage to try and flip Allbirds shoes. You can look at it that way. Now, because StockX is basically not taking on inventory that we know of, that doesn't mean that that platform is immune to shifts in the market. So StockX can't come outright and say that their business is facing considerable headwinds. They can't do that because it's a private company, and eventually people are going to want to exit to get their money back from the investments that they've made into StockX. The brand has to position the business as continuing to grow in different ways. That's why what we're getting into is important, because like I said, at some point, all investors are going to look for an exit. The site will eventually have to IPO. There's not going to be another investment in StockX. And you're going to hear me repeat this constantly as we go through this podcast and talk about this stuff. So right now, StockX hasn't really been discussed in great detail as it relates to like Nike and other brands who have seen this slowdown in sales. Now, like I said earlier, I've always made an effort to utilize resale as a tool for discussing the industry. If you're on this video and you're watching this, you already know I utilize resale to do a lot of analysis. This discussion, it continues that trend. Now, there are a few points to consider when looking at StockX. The amount of information that's available on the site is overwhelming and would require a live stream. I would have to go live, answer questions to really, kind of chat with you all about all of these different things that happen via StockX. But here, what I'll deliver are notable adjustments that StockX has implemented to offset the cooling resale landscape. Now, if a lot of people have left resale, then it's only natural that StockX's income is going to drop because you can no longer take a general release shoe and flip it like you could 2 years ago, 3 years ago. That hurts the business overall. Now, the changes that StockX is making, those aren't improving resale. So don't get me wrong when I say that StockX is making changes. It's not changes to help you if you're a reseller or if you're someone looking to flip a pair of shoes. These changes don't necessarily help you. They do in some instances. These new things that are being implemented, they provide new revenue streams for StockX. And it's beyond being an interface for transactions. You get what I'm saying? I hope you get what I'm saying. So what are these StockX adjustments that have been made? As resale cools, StockX has put these guardrails in to generate revenue. Now, like I said, we don't have information from the brand on the performance of these new strategies and tactics. It's hard to know just how well the changes are working. But what is evident is the company is taking a playbook from traditional e-commerce. Now, taking that playbook from traditional e-commerce is meant to satiate new users who are more familiar with the speed of shipping from brands and platforms like Amazon. If you order from Amazon, you order a pair of sneakers, they get to you in 2 days. Now, if StockX hasn't been introduced to someone before and that's a new user coming to StockX, they don't realize that you don't get your sneakers in 2 days from StockX. You can get them in 3 days now, and that's going to be in this discussion later. All right. So the first thing that StockX has done, and I'm going to open this up, open image in a new tab so you can see this image. And I want to leave this image up here so you can see it. And this is in regard to Xpress ship. Now, I said later in the video, but I'm talking right now. So what we have is Xpress ship and we have Flex. So that's two things that StockX has done to improve the platform, which is going to help a new customer kind of work with StockX a little bit more. If you're a person and you're so used to being on eBay or Amazon and you're used to getting your sneakers after you order them in 3 to 5 days, it's a little bit of a shock to the system when you order from StockX, right? All right, so the StockX Flex program, Xpress ship, these two things are not exactly linked, right? But they are kind of hand in hand. How do they help the seller? They don't necessarily, they do help the seller because it diminishes the amount of boxes that you have to ship, but I don't want to get ahead of myself. But the Flex program, right? StockX created the Flex program, and it's their version of fulfillment by Amazon. So if I go to Amazon and I go to, let's see, inventory, and you see FBA inventory. So FBA inventory allows you to take whatever, and my store is closed. So when you're looking at this over to the side, this is my old store on Amazon. It was $1 million store. It was fantastic, but the returns on Amazon are nightmarish. And I'll talk about that a bit too. But you sell so much on Amazon. And sometimes you don't want to do all of the work yourself. Well, fulfillment by Amazon, if you look over here, you see my mouse moving around FBA inventory. Fulfillment by Amazon basically allows you to send your shoes or send your merchandise, it doesn't have to be sneakers, into Amazon, and then Amazon takes care of all the work. StockX created the Flex program. Now, Flex allows a seller to warehouse their products with StockX. So once that stuff is warehoused, the seller can adjust the inventory and the prices just as if they are a fulfillment by merchant, which is on Amazon. If you don't want to be an FBA, then you can take whatever inventory you have and you can sell it yourself and you can ship it yourself, right? And that's just a quick look inside of the Amazon Seller Central Marketplace. Once again, fantastic platform. I'm just not there anymore because the returns are insane. But that's getting us off topic. So you can adjust your prices in the Flex program, but there are penalties on the StockX Flex program. So if you've never used the StockX Flex program, if you have a whole stack of shoes, you can take them, send them into StockX, leave them there. But there are penalties for removing products from StockX's warehouse. So be very careful. The warehousing of products allows for a decreased ship time to patrons of the site. That's a good thing. Why is that a good thing? Once again, if someone's used to using Amazon and they go to StockX and it takes a long time for you to get your shoes, that kind of removes the desire to use Amazon, to use StockX. So Express Ship, right? I'm doing one, Flex and StockX Express Ship. Express Ship is kind of overlooked because this little icon that you see that I'm circling right here, this little icon shows up on StockX, right? And it looks like a piece of page design. And if you don't know how to use StockX, you probably don't even pay attention to it. But when that little icon is there, that little rocket ship, that's Express Ship. The small rocket ship identifies any product that's on StockX that has been pre-authenticated, and it will ship in a fraction of the time of a traditional StockX order. So why is this important? Traditionally, when a consumer makes a purchase, the seller takes it, packs it up, they ship it to StockX, that's 2 to 3 days. StockX then gets the product and they authenticate it, that's another 2 to 3 days. StockX then packages it and ships it out to the consumer or the buyer, and that's another 2 to 3 days. So you're looking at 6 to 9 days to wait for your shoe that you ordered. When someone goes to Amazon, they click the button, 2 days, the shoe is almost there to the house. 3 days tops, you get your product from Amazon. Now, here's the rub with StockX. A seller gets 48 hours to ship, and then they can extend it for an additional 24 hours. That would extend the time of shipping on StockX. That would extend the time of shipping from 10 to 14 days. That's a long time. StockX Express Ship, it helps StockX get more business. It helps the seller to sell more items to use Flex, which Flex allows the product to move into the StockX Express Ship channel. The difference between fulfillment by Amazon and StockX, there's not that big of a difference. They're basically the same programs. But where StockX really wins the battle, if you're a person just getting into resale, Amazon's fulfillment or FBA, it does not distinguish between the products that are on the shelf. So, right, you got a shelf. There's 10 Jordan 1s right here. Somebody sent a fake Jordan 1 into Amazon. Amazon does not do authentication. So that product is on a shelf. When it gets ordered, Amazon pickers pull that item. And it might be the counterfeit one that doesn't belong to you, and they may send that off to a consumer. Those items are not double checked either when they get returned. And Amazon's return rate, which has improved, it was 30% for small stores. It has improved. But you could end up getting back a product on Amazon that somebody wore. The box could be destroyed. Some people will even send a shoe back with the actual sneaker box taped and a label on the sneaker box, which means you cannot resell that item. StockX shines brighter than Amazon in this fact. Fulfillment by Amazon leaves you in a compromised position as a seller because things are pulled indiscriminately from a pile. That FBA merchant could have damaged or counterfeit goods. So the consumer is at the mercy of Fulfillment by Amazon system. But since StockX does authentication and they authenticate all of their products and returns are not accepted, the Flex program offers a seller more protection. I sound like an ad for StockX. This is terrible. They're not paying me for this. I'm not attempting to sound like an ad. I'm simply explaining the things that StockX has put in place to kind of protect their business while resale is cooling. They've made it easier for sellers to send all of their stuff in, get it authenticated early, and then it can move into the Express ship channel, which makes things faster. You get paid faster. It's a really good situation. Now, does that guarantee that you're going to make more money on StockX? Yeah, it does, because there's a program that I'm going to talk about on the next episode here that's StockX ads and sponsored products. Everything goes in sequence. It follows. If your stuff is express ship, you can also use a sponsored ad. Now, do I recommend that? We'll get into that on the next episode. Hopefully this is clear, and I hope this video is something that you guys are going to be like, yeah, you know what? I like this series. I'm getting into it. Please take the time to share it, talk about it, ask questions, leave comments, ask me questions so I can explain it better, because I've written it and it's clear. And, but in talking about it, it sounds a lot more complex than it actually is. This is crazy. It's an ad over here to the side, which is another section in this series. And I'm going to get to that on the next episode. I'll see you guys on the next one. I appreciate you for watching. Like, share, and subscribe. And please leave comments and ask questions, because I know I'm talking a lot and it can be a bit confusing. Hope that wasn't too long. See you guys. Peace.